I arrived at Crescent Beach just as the sun was setting, painting the horizon in fiery hues of orange and red. The ocean stretched out before me, its waves rolling in a rhythmic murmur, almost hypnotic. I came here every year, lured by the serenity of this secluded spot. But tonight, something felt off. The air was heavier, the breeze colder. A strange, almost metallic scent lingered on the wind, like the aftermath of a thunderstorm. The beach was deserted, just as I liked it. I set up my small bonfire and settled into a folding chair, wrapping myself in a blanket as the night deepened. The moon was full, its pale light casting long, jagged shadows over the sand. I should have felt at peace, but an unease prickled at the back of my neck. The first sign of trouble came with the tide. I'd been staring at the flames, lost in thought, when I noticed the waves. They had grown larger, more aggressive, crashing against the shore with an unnatural fury. The sound was no longer soothing. It was almost menacing. And then I saw them, shapes in the water. At first I thought they were fish, dark silhouettes darting just beneath the surface. But they were too large, too deliberate in their movements. My heart thumped as one of the shapes broke the surface, revealing a hand, a pale, bloated hand with fingers that stretched impossibly long, clawing at the air before vanishing beneath the waves again. I told myself it was a trick of the light. The moonlight and fire combined to play tricks on my eyes. But then I heard it, a low, guttural moan that seemed to come from the ocean itself. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, more insistent. It was a sound that didn't belong here, didn't belong anywhere. I stood, clutching the blanket around me as if it could shield me from whatever was out there. The moan turned into a chorus, a haunting symphony of wails and whispers. And then they began to emerge. They rose from the water, their bodies dripping and glistening in the moonlight. Their skin was gray and mottled, their eyes black pits that seemed to absorb all light. There were at least a dozen of them, each one more grotesque than the last. They moved with a jerky, unnatural grace, as if they were puppets on invisible strings. And they were coming toward me. Panic surged through me. I stumbled backward, tripping over the edge of my chair and landing hard on the sand. The creatures were closer now, their moans turning into words. They were whispering my name. I scrambled to my feet and ran. My blanket and chair were forgotten as I sprinted down the beach, my feet sinking into the sand with every step. I didn't dare look back, but I could hear them, their wet, slapping footsteps keeping pace with me. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They weren't just calling my name. They were telling me to stop, to look, to join them. The beach seemed endless, stretching on forever under the moon's cold gaze. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I couldn't stop. I wouldn't stop. Finally, I saw it, the rocky outcrop that marked the edge of the beach. If I could just reach it, I could climb to higher ground, maybe lose them among the jagged stones. But as I reached the rocks, my foot caught on something, and I went sprawling. Pain shot through my ankle as I twisted it, and for a moment I lay there, dazed. That's when I saw what had tripped me. It was a hand half buried in the sand. Not a severed hand, but a living one, its fingers twitching and clawing at the air. The arm it belonged to was emerging now, followed by a face. It was smiling at me, its teeth sharp and gleaming, its eyes filled with a terrible hunger. I screamed and kicked at it, dragging myself backward. But it was no use. The others had caught up. They surrounded me, their black eyes glinting with malevolent glee. The whispers turned into a chant, a dreadful, incomprehensible mantra that echoed in my skull. I tried to fight, to scream, but the hands were on me, cold and clammy, pulling me down into the sand. The last thing I saw before the darkness swallowed me was the moon, its pale light now tinged with red, as if it were weeping for me. Now, I am part of them. I walk the shores of Crescent Beach, my voice joining the chorus of whispers. We wait for the next traveler to wander too far, to stay too long. And when they do, we welcome them. The sea always hungers, and we are its servants.